James, operating all these doors, I know for a fact, because I hear about a lot of them, you have a lot of really funny stories. Dig deep. What's some of the craziest stuff? Give me something that's not going to offend anyone or ruffle too many feathers, but just give me some of the stuff you come across owning and operating 80 different rental units.
You know, I think without really telling a story, I think that the biggest
cop out.
I think the biggest thing is when you purchase properties in the intention to rehab them, which is what I do. You see a lot of living conditions that are talked about, but probably not viewed.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's probably one of the biggest shockers for me is you walk into an abandoned property and you say to yourself, oh man, someone was living like this.
Yeah.
How are they doing that? We don't know the whole back end story of their financial situation or how their luck ran out.
Sure.
But I think that really is.
And sometimes it's downright sad, right? I know the premise of my question was funny, but I've been in that I've walked thousands, I think, of vacant, abandoned houses, buildings in all neighborhoods, by the way. That scene does not discriminate to a certain neighborhood. I've done down the block here in Bucktown, walked a place where I was stepping over stuff you don't want to step over. And you're right. You're like, how did people live here? You sort of, don't you kind of drive home at the end of the day, like feeling a little bit more grateful?
For sure.
Sometimes there's funny stuff left behind too, though. It's not always like ruins.
Yeah. So like there was a house in Park Ridge.
Here we go.
And I was working for this investor. He was buying at auction, and we walked into the house. And when you buy at auction, you know, once you get possession of the house, whatever is there, right? It becomes the new owners. And there was a stack of, it probably were, you know, maybe 7 to 10 stacks, 50 each, and it was some guy's 80s and 90s Playboy collection. You know, and it's like, what do you do with that?
Standard reading material.
Standard. But like stuff like that, it's like, you know, you walk in, it's very shocking, you know, and it was left behind.
Yeah.
It's in a way, it's kind of like those storage or TV shows, right? You never know what you're going to find once you walk into the property.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's fun. I did one time, and there's a story behind it, but have you ever done like a, do we want to call it like an estate sale or something where
No, I've never done that.
I did it one time where I hired a third-party company. I bought a house. It was in like the Auburn Gresham neighborhood, and it was just it was a hoarder house. But you never know if some of that stuff looks really cool. Like you never know. What if this thing's expensive? What if you ever find a safe?
Never found a safe.
I found safes. I've been like, if no one's claiming it and I buy the house, I'm checking what's inside the safe.
I got a box wall set once.
See, that's fun. My safes are always empty. There was one time, man, I took like the stuff from the house and it must have been in a really good mood, sentimental. And I was like, I think I could like re-gift some of this stuff. I'm going to take this table, and I like brought it to my own house. And like 1 week later, you're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
It's a lot of time. And the further you get into this business, you realize that, you know, it's much easier just to like press a button and have the contractor trash it out.
Throw it out. Yeah.
You know, whatever they find when they're there, you know.
I recently bought a Greystone in Logan Square. Beautiful building on Albany, quiet little windy street. And in the lead up to the purchase, I was lucky enough to meet the longtime owner 4, 5, 6 times. And I'm sure you've dealt with this. Those meetings are never 5-minute conversations. No. They're 2+ hours every time. Thankfully, because the dude knew everything about Logan Square. He used to own a bike store, knew every neighbor, every detail. Unbelievably interesting. And at the top of this amazing Greystone with all this character and arches and all this cool stuff was like, you could tell it was like a 30-year-old like Schwinn red bicycle. He put it on top of like the overhang. So I was like, the first thing I told my contractors, I was like, do not touch that bike. Like, I am going to own this building forever, and that bike is going to be there, and I'm going to invite.
Is it still there?
Can I get to the end of the story? Day 1 of demo, bike is gone. So I agree with you. You think of let's save the stained glass and let's. It's great in theory.
You know, I think that stuff is great for the TV shows.
Which, by the way, we're trying to get one.
You see a lot of that stuff. You know, Windy City Rehab. She does a lot of save the glass.
My construction company's on that show right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. We're working with a family doing shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
I don't get in front of the camera, but our Jorge, who everyone knows by now, he's getting a lot of TV time.
When is that air?
I don't know. We have to finish the project first. So it's crazy because it's an actual project, and then they just come for occasional video shoots. And she drops in like a celebrity and leaves, and then we have to go back to just being contractors.
And then drives to Wisconsin to stain some wood.
Yes.